Greetings, Commanders! My name is Eagle, and we're back again with some Kiss of War action, and in this video, we have a special thing to share with you guys. By the way, if you haven't checked the first video that we did on the battleship, please make sure to check that out. I'll leave a card at the top so that you can check that out before you check this video, because in this video, it's sort of like a part 2 of the introduction, but this one we're going to go more into details into the battleship modification. We're going to give you guys the best path to follow in the research that you're doing over here, and we're gonna take into consideration free-to-play players and big spenders, and we're gonna give each of those the best path to follow for their own play style. Now this is very important to know, guys, because the mod components that actually are required to update these skills over here are really hard to get, and this way, it's very important for a free-to-play player to know exactly where to put those components in order to get the maximum utilization of these skills that are offered over here. And if I may ask for a small favor from you guys, if you like this video, if you like the content, if you feel like that you have learned something new today, please make sure to leave a like on the video and share it with your friends. It really helps out the channel a lot. And without further ado, let's get right into it. And by the way, I do like the LEDs in the background. I hope you guys like them as well. There's still some modification that I want to play with the LEDs in the background so that I can show this image right over here, which I think is kind of pretty cool. But that is going to take a couple more days, probably a week, because I need to change a lot of things in the room to actually fit that. And let's get right into it. We talked a lot about this. Now, the battleship modification, right? So first things first, what you need to be doing as any player in the game, it doesn't matter if you're free to play, whatever player, you need to max out enemy detection 1. Now this is hands down the best upgrade that you can do in the battleship. The total attack added by 12% is insane, guys. Like, I don't even know if this is even how does this exist over here, but that is insane. I can tell you this, like 12% is a huge difference in the battlefield. I mean, it takes hundreds of days in the research over here to get something up to for example, that number, like 15%. This 15% over here took me over a year, probably. Like, it would have taken me over a year if I didn't have all the speed ups and whatnot. But yeah, these take a lot of time. Getting those in under, I don't know, probably a week, by gathering the mod components and the time required for these is kind of insane, and it's OP at this point. So please make sure that you max out enemy detection first thing in the whole battleship. Once you max out this one, let's go for the free-to-play player path. You have to go to the Naval Artillery. Now, the Naval Artillery is the place that actually enhances your offensive, let's say, capabilities in the battlefield. The thing that you have to focus on first and max out is improved gunpowder 1. Now, the reason of going to improved gunpowder 1 and not to any of the others over here, even though that they provide a 3% attack bonus, but this one only provides a 2% normal attacks, is because improved gunpowder actually affects all troop types. That means that if you have, like, let's say, multiple troop types fighting in the battlefield, let's say the 3 troop types, then that would be at max level 6% for each. So that is 18%, compared to the 9% that can be only added to one troop type. That's kind of a big deal, right? Especially if you have like 5 marches fighting in the battlefield, that's even more than 18%. So the percentage of benefit that you're getting from this one is much better than the other one. So what you need to be going for is improved gunpowder rather than any of these. Now, these 3 over here, what they do is increase your attack by 3% each time you upgrade them, I think to the maximum of 9%. Now, which ones to go for? This is highly, I would say, depending on what troops or what troop types that you have. Like, for example, if you have 2 tank marches, 1 infantry, and 1 anti-tank, then go immediately and upgrade reinforced barrel 1 first. This is because of the more benefits that you have from tanks. If you have, for example, 2 anti-tank marches, then go for anti-tanks, and same goes for the infantry. And these, three over here have to be maxed out before jumping to the another one. For example, you can max out reinforced battle and then enhanced loading and then trajectory modification. But you could also like put 1 point in each so that you can get the maximum benefit out of them, because the last one requires 400 and the second one requires 200 to upgrade. So what I would recommend, if you're like rocking 3 marches of like balance between tanks, anti-tanks, and infantry, I would focus on these equally. So I would level this one up, and this one up, and then I would go for the second tier and then the third tier. Once you have done that, once you have all these 4 maxed out, I would go over here and then go to the armor. Now in the armor section, you would have to do the same exact thing, but for these 3 over here. Now these 3 give you defense instead of attack, 3% also for the 3 unit types that are in the game, which are tanks, anti-tanks, and infantry. Now, once you have filled these up in the same exact order as you have done before, make sure that you have maxed these 3 out. Do not touch the total movement speed 2% just yet, because this one over here, I understand that it's kind of important, but there are more important stuff to focus on. And that is going back to Naval Artillery. You have finally finished the tier 1 upgrades that you needed to do. So what you need to do right now is move in the sequence that the game actually gives you, because you can, once you unlock tier 2 over here, you cannot actually level up these 3. You have to do it in some sort of a sequence, which is kind of shown over here. You have to go first things first for reinforced battle, then trajectory modification, finally going for enhanced loading and improved gunpowder. Once you do this pattern, you will unlock the legendary ability or legendary skill of this like section, I would say, and you can go for warhead improvement. This one over here is hands down the best legendary like let's say research that you can do in all like the whole let's say battleship researches in terms of legendary tier. This is because of the fact that 10% chance to actually double your attack in that specific round is kind of insane, because once you're doing field fights, this 10% can magnify into 5 marches, and those 5 marches for like multiples or like tens and like hundreds of rounds, which makes this 10% actually overpowered, because once you deal double the damage, that means a lot of extra damage has been dealt to the enemy, so less troops that have been lost on your part and more troops on their part, and this way it's like overall working really good. So this is what I would go for the first legendary skill after after I finish the second tier over here. Now once you have finished Naval Artillery, like fully finished that, I would go back to the armor, finish enhanced power, which will give you some movement speed over here, and then I would move and walk with the let's say pattern that is given by the game. I think you have to start, yeah, you have to start with improved armor 2, and then enhanced evasion, and then enhanced like improved materials 2, and then finally enhanced power, which is kind of good because you're getting the movement speed right now at the end, so you're getting all the defense buffs first from the tier 2, and then movement speed at the end, which is kind of not bad. You do need movement speed if you want to chase down an enemy or if you want to run from an enemy, and it helps you a lot maneuvering between the battlefields and such events. For example, Ghost Rebels or Raiders of the Treasure, if you're trying to run away with the artwork, and it does help a lot in terms of like the overall combat experience. However, what I want to talk about is modernization over here. This ability over here is kind of underlooked. I'm pretty sure that nobody would actually know exactly how powerful this ability is. Let me explain to you why this ability is very OP. And it's kind of like, I'm kind of still not sure which one is better, this one or the warhead before, simply because imagine this situation with me. So you are in server, you are in the biozone, and you are rallying a building. When you are rallying a structure in the biozone, the structure would have around 2 million troops in it, and you would be rallying that structure with about also 2 million troops. Now, once those two, once that rally hits, what you need to do in the biozone, what happens in the biozone is the reinforcement troops in the structure itself will lose some troops. They will lose some percentage of the seriously wounded troops. That means rallying those cities is kinda like a good trade, or might actually end up in being a good trade, especially if you have good like officers for the rally. So that 5% out of the 2 million could mean 100k of the lost troops on your side would immediately go to the garages instead of being lost forever. And that 100k could actually be the tiebreaker between you losing a trade and winning one in server. And trust me, this is very OP, especially when it comes to rallies, or when it comes to like really big fights that once your like garage is full, or no, it doesn't really work when your garage is full, like really big fights that actually like take away a lot of troops from multiple sides. It's basically once you are defending or attacking a structure, which usually happens in a rally. So I think this one is pretty solid. As I said, especially used when it comes to rallies. Now we have maxed out 2 of these. Now, this path so far is pretty solid for a free-to-play or a big spender, because this way you are getting the maximum amount of, let's say, buffs that you can actually get for your troops in terms of offensive and defensive buffs as well. And right now we're going to go to a separate path, right? So for free-to-play, what I would go for if I was free-to-play player, I would immediately go for enemy detection 2. Now, why would I choose this tree over the communication antenna? It's because simply there are much more buffs in this tree that are actually pretty solid. For example, this one over here reduces the enemy healing effectiveness by a good percentage. Now, why would you need that? Because most of let's say big spenders have officers such as Natalia that does a hell lot of healing, and in order to actually mitigate some amount of the healing that she does and decrease the effectiveness of that, you would need some sort of ability that actually decreases the effectiveness of the healing. And this one over here is perfect for that. And this is why, as a free-to-play player, you should go for this one after you go for the enemy detection. Another one that is actually pretty solid is advanced ranging. Now, advanced ranging over here, as a free-to-play player, what happens is that you are most likely going to have your base swarmed. Now, this one helps a lot because increasing the counterattack damage would increase the damage that the secondary targets that are hitting your base are taking, and this way you would even deal more damage to the attacking enemies and potentially win the trade versus them. The only one that I actually think is useless over here is enhanced wind power, which I think is pretty much useless. Increasing the load that your units have is not a big deal, to be honest, unless you are a huge gatherer that is extremely active. Otherwise, this is not pretty much used in combat. There's only one situation that I would imagine this is being used in combat, which is once you zero base and you want to farm them with your artilleries. This is what would benefit you a bit, but otherwise I don't think this is going to benefit you at all. Now, once you have finished the tier 1 that are over here, I would definitely go and move with the sequence that is done. I would finish this one first, this one second, this one third, and finally reaching the good old 12% total attack. That would make it 24% total attack, which I think is insane, especially thinking about this. That's 24% total attack. You don't even need research anymore. This is huge, right? Now, this one over here would increase the garage capacity. I think this one is pretty decent, 30k. I think it could have been increased a little bit. I think this one needs a bit of reworking, but these numbers over here are not let's say, they're not ever changing. They're gonna change in the future. They're just testing this out. It just came out, so these numbers might change in the future. I don't think the current order of the buffs would change anyhow. However, the numbers or the buffs that actually could change in the future, because I think this is too OP, but I would go for this and use it for now because, hey, it's available, right? So this is the current sequence that I do recommend for free-to-play players. Finally, I would go for over here, right? Right now over here, I would go for troop capacity. Probably go for garrisoning your structures, and this one is useless. Do not go for this one. This one you should go for the last. Even if you're paid to win, highly spender, let's say high spender in the game, this is not like this is useless kinda. You could just use Natalia if you're a big spender, and that would solve the issue. But these ones over here, this is the order that I would go to. I would go for this one, and then lastly go for radar modification. As a free-to-play player, you will not be attacking enemy bases as frequent as a like big spender. So for big spenders, you actually could go. You can actually skip this one over here, the garage capacity. Once you have filled the total attack, you can skip the garage capacity and go immediately for these two over here, like this one, radar modification and encryption. These two help a lot in increasing your combat effectiveness. If you're trying to lead rallies in your team, or let's say be more active in the field, these two would be amazing. My thoughts about the enhanced command over here. Obviously, the second tier, you're just going to have to move along with the actual, let's say, pattern that the game have set you. There's no, like, you cannot really play with that a lot. However, for enhanced command over here, I do like the troop capacity increase, especially if you think about it in terms of having this one and this one maxed out, also this one. Now, when you have all these maxed out, you would have around 12k increase in the troop capacity for each march. And if you use a 50% even like more increase, like the item that actually increases the troop capacity by 50%, this means that your marches would have 18,000 more troops in them, each one of them. And that is a huge deal, right? Because simply you're dealing more damage, you have more sustainability, and you have more defense, so that you're losing less troops and you're dealing more damage. And this helps a lot, sort of creating a synergy between the boost that you're actually getting from the ship and like the amount of troops that you can actually input out or output into the battlefield. So this is mainly the sequence that I would go for. As I said, arguably you would go for troop capacity before maxing out the precision instruments over here. I'm still not sure how much this costs. Basically, nobody knows how much this costs. I don't think anybody in the game yet have like reached this stage in the game. But as I said, if you're trying to like purchase the packages, get this as fast as possible, this is a really good path for you to follow. Obviously, this is not the best path in the game. Probably some people, like depending on your play style, if you're, for example, the rally leader in your team, probably would need to max this one out. Depending on what's happening also on your server is very important. For example, if you're being constantly attacked, then you might want to max this one out before doing anything else. But as I said, this is like for the average player that is free to play or like a big spender. This is a really solid path to follow. And yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts about this path. Please leave me in the comments below. What do you think? If this path was actually good, if it works for you, or if you have like for example, an alternative path that you would love to share with the community, would absolutely love to hear that in the comments below. And yeah, that was basically it. If you have any suggestions about videos that we'd like to see in the future, we have a lot of things planned, but I would love to hear what you guys want me to do in the future, because we're going to be doing a lot of videos soon, and I would absolutely love to hear your guys' opinions on what videos you want to see for us doing in the future. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, Eagle out.